Hello YouTube. Today I want to share with you some of my experience regarding slow pitch jigging and things I learned along the way. So let's get started. So what is slow pitch jigging? Slow pitch jigging is a very popular way of fishing, which is originated from East Asia, especially Japan. The fishermen there developed this technique mainly because of their depleted fishery. So in this video, I'll share some of my experience using this method. So this is how it gets started. I got interested in this method about 2 years ago after a charter trip on Captain Mike's boat. And I found using metal jigs are not only a very clean way of fishing, but also it's just as effective as using bait. And to my surprise, it's more engaging and it's more sporty, if you will. So, but at the time I didn't know much about this method. The only thing got me interested was some metal jigs I bought from Taiwan, and on the packaging it says slow pitch jigs. So I started doing some research. And after some research, I found some information about this technique. So what exactly is slow pitch jigging? Basically, it's a way of a metal jig throughout the water column vertically. But hence the name, you have to work the jig slow. Some people might ask, what makes this technique so special? But to me, it's just jigging. It's not too special about this technique, but there are a lot of fine details like the tackle, the line, and the jigs that makes this technique special. And also I had to mention the way you work the jig is essential at times. So what species can you catch with this technique? I think pretty much anything that swims in ocean, you can catch them using this technique. Not only bottom species, also pelagic species. I've caught, my personal experience is I've caught black sea bass, porgy, bluefish, cod, even blackfish, and dogfish, all using this technique. But keep in mind, I've only fished 3 times on the boat last year. But you know, if I spend more time fishing on the boat, I could probably catch a lot of more species than these. But it just shows that how effective this technique works. And some people might ask, what does the word pitch means in slow jigging or slow pitch jigging? Basically, pitch means it means a full turn of the handle, and when you turn the handle, you're retrieving line, and the metal jig will go up in the water column, and when the rod come to a sudden stop because it was under load, and it will sprung upwards and cause the jig to become parallel to the seafloor. Basically just spun it up, and it'll go sideways, and then it will started falling. But because of the slack line between your rod and the jig will fall without any tension, and it will fall flat through the water column. So that's the pitch is about. Basically, from what I understand, pitch is just pitch the jig sideways. So to achieve this action, you will need a rod or blank designed specially for this type of fishing. Okay, let's talk about tackle. As you can see, the rod I'm holding right now is a short, skinny rod, and it's very, very soft. It's a very soft rod, and this is critical. Basically, in slow jigging, you want the rod to work the jig, and that's the only purpose of the rod. Of course, you can fight fish with the rod, but the most important aspect of the rod in slow jigging is to use the rod to work the jig. And let's look at the reel. So I prefer a conventional reel and with a narrow spool and faster retrieve, and this Omoto Talos reel, especially when you're fishing deeper water, and that's gonna help. And on the reel, I spooled up with a 20-pound braided line, and I was using 30-pound line before, but I think the thinner the diameter, the more you're gonna feel the lure, especially in deeper water. Because what happens is when you have a thicker diameter line, and especially in the current, your line is gonna scoping out, and the thinner the line, the less the scoping, which in return you're gonna have more sensitivity. I use 40-pound shock leader here. It's a little over, I think it's a little over 8 foot, and I connect the main line to the shock leader with a FG knot. And let's look at the rigging. The rigging is just very simple. You tie a clinch knot to your jig, but here is something very important. On the assist hook, there is a solid ring, and you want to tie a clinch knot to the solid ring, not to the split ring or the jig itself. You have to tie your leader directly to the solid ring here. Okay, let me play some fishing clips, and we'll talk about the jigging motion a little more. So the whole idea of this fishing method is to create the reaction bite. That's why it's so effective. Any predatory fish or even not so aggressive species will bite the jig because of their natural instinct will kick in when they see a falling object. I remember reading an On the Water magazine article online. The writer described the falling action of the jig as a unidentified wobbling object, I think, which is very accurate. And there are a couple of jigging motion you will see in these fishing clips, like yo-yo, long fall, short fall, jerk, or pitching. Basically, I found most of the strikes happen during the fall, but there are times a bite happens during upwards motion. There are no set rules on how you should fish these jigs. Just keep on trying and figure it out what action fish likes. But one thing I have to point out is that if you are looking for bottom species, you should always, and remember, always check the bottom after you think the jig might be lifted too high in the water column. I had many strikes happen when I was letting the line out to check the bottom. Okay, here I'm using a jigging motion called long fall. Basically, you lift up your rod tip like really high. Then you either follow the line or you drop your rod tip sharply. And that'll create a big pile of lines on the top of the water. And watch the line that's floating on the surface closely. If there's any fish hits the lure, hits the jig, you will not be able to feel it. But the line will stop going down. What you do here is to pick up your slack line and then set the hook. And in this clip, I mixed it up a little bit. I was using long fall at first, and then I started doing like quarter turns or 1/3 of turns pitching, and that's when the fish hits. Not really. And I want to talk a little bit about the shape of the jigs. Basically, you have to use these jig, and switching between them depends on the current situation in the water. Sometimes you need to use the long and skinny profile when you're dealing with a lot of current, so you can sand down the jig quicker, and the jig will maintain its position in the strike zone. And sometimes when the current is slow, you want something that can do a lot of flutter and fall slow in the water column. that takes time to experiment. If you like what you saw in my videos, maybe consider book a trip with Captain Mike, and I'll put his contact information down below in the description. He's the one not only gonna put you on fish, but also he will show you some techniques as well. Yep. Flutters in the water, you know. And another thing I experimented with slow jigging was to put on teasers like I would when I'm fishing the surf. And the result was amazing. But in the end, I decided to take the teaser off. Not because I didn't catch any fish with the teaser, but dealing with 2 to 3 fish on each drop almost every time, it was too much for me. I got one keeper. So I'm dropping the jig back down. And just as soon as the jig hits the bottom, I did one crank, and the fish hits. That was effortless. And in this clip, the sea picked up. I think it was incoming tide. We're dealing with a lot of current, and we're fishing 90 feet of water. So what I did here was, when the fish is not very active, the slow pitching action really attracts fish. I thought that was pretty cool. I was basically doing half pitch and 1/3 pitch, just dancing that jig up the water column. And that hit comes when the upward motion happens. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, hope this video helps. If you have questions, please leave a comment, and I'll have another video coming up pretty soon. In that video, I'll discuss jigging from the surf. Please stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video.